Hey there, second grade. Today we are going to be doing Chapter 12, Lesson 6. We're going to be starting on page 771. So if you turn with me there, we are going to be relating shapes and solids. So today we're going to be talking about three-dimensional shapes and how they can connect with the different two-dimensional shapes that we've already talked about. So 3D and 2D coming together to help us out. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our guided practice today. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, so give me just a second. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about 2D and 3D shapes. All I need for you to do is have your pencil out. As I go through our guided practice today, I just want you to be filling it out with me. Now this is going to be a little tricky. If we were in the classroom, I would be showing you these three-dimensional shapes. But because we're going to just be doing this online, I just need you to do your best following along with me as we do these different parts. So it says the faces of three-dimensional shapes are two-dimensional shapes. All right, so this is a cube. It's a three-dimensional shape. But each face, each side of them, is a two-dimensional shape. So you can see here we've got a square. And so if we actually took off each of these, it would break into these different sides. So each of these would be a different square, sorry. So our cube here has all these different sides, and if we ripped each side off, this is what they would be. We would have one side here, 2, on the other side 3, and then the bottom would be 4, 5, and 6. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a cube has 6 equal faces, and the faces are all squares. Well, that's easy enough when we're talking about a cube because all the sides are the exact same. But today we're going to talk about other shapes as well and talk about, well, what does that look like? So when I've got number 1 here, this is a rectangular prism. And so for a rectangular prism, it's not all the same shape on the different sides. You can see this dark purple side here is different than this little pink side up on top. The pink side is actually smaller. It looks like it would be a square. So I'm going to circle the square, all right, because that's what's needed there. And then when I look here at this side, well, this is a dark rectangle right here, so I would need that. Now, I take a look at my different options, and I see I did not need to use my triangle. There's no triangles on this, so this would be just a square and a rectangle, all right? Now, number 2 gets a little bit trickier yet. All right, so we've got a cylinder, and so when we take a look at this, well, I can see the base is what? Well, the base is a circle. It's a circle right here, so I'm going to circle my circle. All right, there's my circle. And now when I look at the side, I go, well, what is this? What's the side of this? And the way that I like to think about this is if this was a can of soup, all right, a can of soup, and we had a label on our can of soup and we took the label off, what would that label be? Well, if you've ever done that, when you take it off, it's actually a really large rectangle that goes around, okay? Because that's the face of it. We need something to go around the cylinder, and so it's actually going to be a rectangle because we would need to fold this, roll it up to make it into a sphere. You could also do this if you had a piece of paper and you just rolled it very carefully. You could create a cylinder without the bases just by using a piece of paper. So we would need a rectangle in order to do that one. For number 3, when I take a look here, well, number 3 is a little bit tricky, isn't it? I see that I've got triangles. And how many triangles would I need? Well, I need 1, 2. On the other side, I need 3 and 4. So I would need 4 Hey, wait a second. There's 4 triangles right there. All right. And now for this triangular prism, well, what do I need for my base? Well, my base I can see is right here. It is a square. So I would need both of these two things. All right, for our independent practice today, we're going to be on page 773. And so I want you to go ahead in just a second. I'm going to have you pause the video. You're going to do number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. And then on the next page, we're going to do all the numbered problems on page 774. So that's going to be number 9, number 10, and number 11. We can skip the right math for today, but I want you to do all the way up to number 11. So start with number 4 and do all the way to number 11. Pause your video now. Do those problems. When you're done, you can press play. Pause now. Alrighty, I hope that you were able to pause and practice these different problems because we're going to go over them together right now on my screen. And so I'd really love for you to have that up, have that filled in already. Now, if you're working at home and there is something that you made a mistake on, it's okay. All right, don't feel like you have to be perfect. We all make mistakes. Sometimes I'm even making mistakes as I make these videos. It's not a problem. Just correct your mistakes. All right, so if you got one of these wrong, just go ahead, use your pencil and erase it, and then go ahead and write in what the right answer was. For number 4, it says to circle the faces that make the shape. Well, here I have a cube, and if I remember a cube has all the faces are the exact same. So they all are squares. So I'm going to circle my square for that one because they are all squares. That's it. I would need to have 6 of those squares, but instead they're just asking us which shapes it was. For number 5, I see that I've got my prism here. And so for this one, I can see, well, the side of this face right here is a triangle, so I'm going to circle triangle. And then I can also see that my base down here is going to be a square. So I need a square on this one as well. So I've got a triangle and I've got a square. For number 6, I see that I've got 2 squares, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. All right, well, let's just go through these. Well, a cube over here, a cube has got all sides that are all squares, so there's no rectangle, so it's not going to be that one. A prism has triangles on the side, so it's not going to be this one. So the only other option that I've got left is a rectangular prism, which makes sense because the sides of mine are rectangles, and I know that my base is a square. So I would circle the rectangular prism. For number 7, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. Oh boy. Well, I know that a cube has all sides that are squares, and they need 6 of them. So I know that this is a cube. But let's just check it real quick. So here I've got a triangle. Well, there's no triangle, so that doesn't work. Here on this side, of this face, I would need a rectangle. Well, there's no rectangle, so it's not going to be that one. So cube is the one that fits. For number 8, it says, which of these shapes does not have a square as one of its faces? Well, here I can see that there's a square as the base of my rectangular prism. I can see that there is a square here. And again, I want the one that does not have a square. Here I see that we've got a circle, and then we talked earlier about this is actually a rectangle that's been wrapped around. I don't see a square on that, so I'm going to cross that off. This one, we've got a triangle for a side, but then the inside, the base is a square, so that one fits. So the only one that does not was this cylinder, so I want to cross off my cylinder. All right, let's go to the next page. Page 774. Let me get my pen again. All right, this one says, I have 6 equal faces. I have 8 vertices. What shape am I? Well, what is that shape that has 6 equal sides? All the different faces are the same. Well, that's a cube, right? A cube would have that because they're all squares. All right, it's got 6 equal sides. They are all squares. So it's a cube. All right. Next up, I have no faces and no vertices. What shape am I? Well, when we did our 3-dimensional shapes, the only one that has no vertices, that means there's no points. When I've got a cube, my vertices are where the faces come together. So if there's none of those, this is going to be a sphere. A sphere. I just misspelled it. See? I make errors too. Sphere, sorry. Sphere. All right. A sphere is like a circle, only it is more like it's a ball. And so we've got, I'm going to try shading. This is not going very well on my Chromebook. But it's a ball. And so there's no vertices and there's no faces because there's no sides to it. So a sphere would be our answer there. For number 11, it says, Allison wants to trace shapes using these objects. What shapes can she trace? Well, let's take a look at our different shapes and say, all right, what could we make from these? And so we want to only use real shapes. And so I see that on my tuna fish, I could do a circle, right? So I could put circle. All right. It looks like if I use the base of this, that I would have a rectangle. And then if I look at my milk carton over here, I know the base of this is going to be a square. So I could do a square. All right. Can I use this ribbon? Can I use it for anything? Well, I could make another circle out of it, but that's about it, right? I could make another rectangle out of my cinnamon, but that's about it. I could make a rectangle out of the side of my milk carton. Maybe you noticed this. When I first started this, I'm going to grab my orange. I noticed that there's a triangle right here. Did you notice that? But then I thought to myself, well, if I lay it down flat, can I just get that triangle? No, because I would be getting, let me use green for this, I would be getting a pentagon. And so that's not what I'm looking for, is it? No, it is not. So I could get a circle, a rectangle, and a square just from these different shapes. Well, thank you so much for working hard with me. Your next part of your assignment is going to be your homework. This is on page 775 and 776. All right, I want you to go ahead and solve those problems on your own. And just like I keep telling you, when we come back to school, we will collect that homework. So don't worry about it until then. But thanks so much for working with me today. Hopefully, you were able to start finding the way that our 2D and 3D shapes work together, seeing how our two-dimensional shapes actually make up the three-dimensional shapes. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later.